You know, when you hear about health breakthroughs these days, it feels like it's always inward looking.
Hmm.
We hear so much about gene editing, CRISPR, maybe mRNA therapies, fixing our actual biological code.
Yeah, that's definitely the big story, the multi-billion-dollar narrative, you could say. But the source we're diving into today, it suggests that whole approach, focusing on fixing the code. It might be based on a fundamentally wrong
Really?
premise.
A wrong premise. How so?
Yeah, this document, Master's Insight, #099, it's from 2025 by Fuchi Wu and DAGE. They make this really provocative claim. They say focusing on gene modification is just. It's after the fact repair, and that humanity is currently walking in the wrong direction.
Wow, okay. So that's our mission for this deep dive then, to unpack this creator's engineering idea they talk about.
That's the plan.
And specifically address their core question. What if our bodies aren't actually designed poorly? What if? What if it's the environment that's the problem, violating some kind of original, perfect design specification?
Exactly. It's a total paradigm shift. They basically argue we're obsessing over, like, software bugs when the hardware itself is being run through a swamp.
Okay, a swamp. That's quite an image. Let's dig into that. Where do we start with their argument against, well, modern medicine's focus?
Right. So their main issue, their central contention, is that technologies like gene editing or stem cell remodeling, they all start from the assumption that the body's basic design is somehow faulty.
That it needs us to improve it, essentially.
Precisely. That it's inadequate and needs human modification. They see us using, gene scissors or patching up mRNA as incredibly inefficient. It's reactive.
Like trying to fix a leak after the basement's already flooded?
That's a good analogy, yeah. They see it as backward-looking repair work.
Okay, but calling the body's design perfect, that feels like a big claim. I mean, we see genetic diseases, we see aging. How do they square that?
They tackle that head-on with this concept they call creator's will engineering.
Creator's will engineering.
Okay. The idea is, don't think of the human body as this fragile, error-prone thing. Think of it as maybe the most sophisticated piece of engineering imaginable, a hyper-efficient, self-regulating system.
So like a super high-end custom-built computer. Is that a fair comparison?
Exactly. And this supercomputer, by design, comes fully loaded. It's got a complete self-repair mechanism built in, incredible antivirus, really efficient metabolic systems, and crucially, powerful tools for identifying and detoxifying environmental threats. The body is perfect, they argue.
Provided. There's always a catch.
Provided you operate it within its intended specifications. Use the right fuel, keep it in a clean, pristine server room, metaphorically speaking.
Okay, so that really clarifies the core difference here. Current science seems focused internally. The genes are wrong, or this part needs patching up.
Right. While this creator's engineering philosophy looks entirely outward, the environment is wrong, and critically, it should have been protected.
So the failure isn't the design, it's the operating conditions.
Exactly. And they state quite clearly that the highest wisdom, the ultimate goal, isn't about inventing better surgical tools or gene scissors. It's about achieving a state where the cell never needs repair in the first place, where it fundamentally does not break within the time limit.
Wow. So it's not about finding a cure for aging. It's about making aging, as we know it, unnecessary, or at least pushing it way, way back.
That seems to be the implication. It shifts the whole focus of medicine from being reactive to being radically preemptive, protecting the system above all else.
They really draw the line in the sand then. Genetic engineering is human after-the-fact repair.
While creators' will engineering is preemptive protection. That's the fundamental distinction. The key takeaway from this part is, don't blame the design, blame the violation of the operating manual.
Okay, that makes sense as a concept, which leads us straight into the next logical question. If the body's design is so pristine, what specifically in our modern environment is violating these specifications so badly? Let's move from the philosophy to the actual threats they identify.
Yeah, and they are very specific about this. They argue that the world we live in now is just completely different from the body's original intended setting. They point to 3 critical factors that they believe lead to cellular collapse, premature aging, and eventually organ failure.
Yeah, what's number 1?
Number 1, and they really emphasize this, is the air we breathe, specifically airborne toxins. And they're not just talking about general pollution, they name nanoscale contaminants.
Nanoscale. So really tiny stuff.
Exactly. Things like PM 0.1, VOCs, volatile organic compounds, and microplastics floating in the air.
Okay, PM 0.1. I've heard of PM 2.5, the fine particles. How small is PM 0.1?
Right, PM2.5 gets a lot of attention, but PM0.1 particles are about zero point 0.1 microns in diameter. That's roughly 25 times smaller than PM2.5.
25 times smaller, wow.
And that size is absolutely critical to their argument, because particles that small can bypass many of our body's natural filters, like in the nose and upper airways. They can potentially cross the lung-blood barrier, get directly into your bloodstream, and from there, well, they could even reach the brain.
So our built-in defenses are just overwhelmed by these ultrafine invaders that presumably weren't around in such high concentrations when our bodies evolved.
That's the idea. And then you add VOCs to the mix.
Volatile organic compounds.
Uh-huh.
Those are fumes, right? From paints, furniture, cleaning supplies.
Exactly. Chemical gases released from all sorts of common household items, building materials, you name it. These create this sort of chemical soup, especially indoors, where the source claims most of these violations happen.
So our cells are constantly fighting off these chemical assaults.
Using up valuable energy just trying to process and expel these poisons. That's the first major violation. Toxic air.
Okay, what's the second factor?
The second is dietary deficiency. And it's not just about avoiding junk food in the usual sense. It's about our modern food often lacking the essential high-quality building blocks the body needs for its constant self-repair work.
So the internal repair system needs specific materials to run properly.
Absolutely. It's a resource-intensive process. If your diet lacks sufficient essential nutrients, and especially high-quality proteins needed to rebuild cells, repair damage, synthesize crucial enzymes, then the system just runs out of supplies. It can't execute those perfect self-repair protocols, even though they're coded in.
It's like having the best repair crew in the world, but no spare parts or tools.
A very good way to put it. Okay, so that's air and diet. What's the third factor?
The third factor is really the combination and the duration. It's the chronic, long-term exposure to this whole microtoxic environment.
They specifically highlight breathing and sleeping times when the body is supposed to be in its deepest repair and regeneration cycles.
So instead of repairing, it's still fighting off low-level toxins from the air or it doesn't have the nutrients. It's a constant battle.
Precisely. It's the cumulative effect. Not one big poisoning event, but this relentless, low-grade toxic stress day after day, night after night, year after year.
And this accumulation leads them to their big diagnosis.
Yes. Their definitive, and frankly, quite startling statement. Cells are not inherently broken or suffering from bad design. They are poisoned or intoxicated.
That completely reframes aging and chronic disease, doesn't it? If the core problem is intoxication.
Then the solution isn't fancy genetic surgery to patch up the poisoned cell. The real solution, the highest wisdom, according to them, is achieving purity, removing the toxic stressors.
So stop the poisoning and let the body's natural systems do their job.
Exactly. They argue that if you could return the body to its original setting, a pure, non-toxic, oxygen-rich space, the inherent self-repair mechanisms would function flawlessly. Cells wouldn't collapse prematurely, aging would slow dramatically, and the need for all this complex, invasive gene repair tech, it just kind of vanishes.
Longevity, then, isn't something we invent with technology.
It's something we uncover by meeting the body's environmental requirements. Purity equals longevity in their view.
Okay. That's a powerful, if challenging, philosophy. So if we accept this premise, even hypothetically, what do they suggest we do about it? Is it just about moving to a remote mountaintop?
Well, maybe, ideally. But no, they offer a more practical, three-stage application plan. It's designed to be relevant for you, the listener, wherever you are in the health spectrum right now.
3 stages. Okay. Let's break those down. What's stage 1?
Stage 1 is aimed at people who are currently healthy, maybe younger, those not yet showing obvious signs of aging.
So the focus is pure prevention.
Exactly. Maintenance and preservation. The solution they propose is straightforward: block toxin accumulation and actively postpone functional degeneration.
How do you do that, practically speaking?
It means getting serious about prevention, really understanding your personal exposure, what's the air quality like where you sleep, in your office, what's actually in your food, and then taking aggressive steps to minimize those toxic inputs, protecting that pristine internal environment, building cellular credit, not debt.
Okay, that makes sense for healthy individuals.
Yeah.
What about stage 2?
Stage 2 addresses people who are already experiencing some level of functional disorder. Think chronic issues, maybe persistent allergies, nagging fatigue, autoimmune responses, things where conventional medicine might be struggling to find a complete solution.
Right. Conditions that impact quality of life significantly. What's the approach there?
Here, the core solution is defined as continuous air purification. And this is a really interesting point they make. They claim that by creating this ultra-pure environment, especially purified air, any medications the person might already be taking can actually work better.
How? Why would clean air make meds work better?
Because, the theory goes, the body's systems, the immune system, metabolic pathways, stop having to waste precious energy fighting off constant environmental toxins like those VOCs and PM0.1 particles we talked about.
So the body can redirect its limited resources entirely toward the healing process the medication is supposed to support.
That's the idea. You remove the environmental drag so the body and the medicine can focus on the actual problem. It's about maximizing the efficiency of the resources you have left.
That's a really significant insight. It's not replacing medicine, but potentially making it more effective by cleaning up the battlefield.
Precisely. Okay, so that brings us to stage 3.
Stage 3. This must be for people with more severe issues.
Yes, this stage is for individuals who already have existing, perhaps irreversible, organ damage.
So what's the goal then, if the damage is done?
At this point, you might be past full reversal for that specific organ. The priority shifts entirely. It becomes about damage control and stabilization. The solution is framed as prevent the next organ from being harmed.
So it's about stopping the cascade, protecting the rest of the system.
Exactly. It's a pure longevity focus. Stabilize the whole system, minimize further damage, and maximize lifespan and quality of life, even with existing limitations. It's the ultimate harm reduction strategy based on their environmental theory.
Okay, stages 1, 2, and 3. Prevention, enabling healing, and harm reduction. It's a clear progression. And I like that they don't just leave this as abstract philosophy. You mentioned they connect it to actual tangible development.
Yes, and that's important. It grounds their claims. They stress that this isn't about waiting for some magical future technology. They actually frame it as a surrender and return to the wisdom of the creator's design. The real breakthrough, in their eyes, is finally recognizing the genius of the original design and how to support it.
And that recognition leads to physical engineering.
Right. Engineering aimed squarely at environmental control. The source specifically mentions the mission behind something called the GOT Life Module 2026.
GOT Life Module. Sounds like a product or system.
It appears to be their commercial application, likely designed to create these kinds of pristine, controlled living or working environments they advocate for.
And they even cite a patent.
They do.
Yeah.
U.S. patent number US 8268058B2. It's for a high-efficiency labyrinth air treatment device.
So they're not patenting gene therapies.
No. Their engineering focus, their investment, is clearly on solving the mycotoxic air crisis, which they see as the root cause. It shows where their priorities lie: environmental purity tech.
That really brings it home. Their engineering goal is environmental purity because they believe that's the most direct path to, well, biological perfection and a longer, healthier life.
It leads to a really powerful summary takeaway, doesn't it? We've been so focused on looking inside the cell, looking for the flaws, developing these incredibly complex repair tools.
While maybe ignoring the toxic soup we're asking the cells to live in.
Exactly. This source basically insists the body's design is already light years ahead. Billions of years ahead, they claim, of any human engineering we can conceive of right now.
So the most advanced engineering isn't editing the code.
It's rigorously protecting the environment where that code operates. Purity equals longevity. It's a simple equation, but with profound implications.
Which really brings us to the final thought for you, the listener.
Yeah, if this perspective holds any water, if the main driver of aging and disease is this constant cellular intoxication from the environment,
then the question becomes quite personal, doesn't it? What small, immediate change could you make to your environment?
maybe it's seriously filtering the air where you spend your critical 8 hours of sleep. Maybe it's upgrading the quality of the proteins and nutrients you're using to fuel that amazing self-repair system.
What could you do, starting today, to create your own little paradise on Earth, as they put it, even a small one?
And perhaps the more intriguing question is, how quickly might your own inherent, supposedly perfect self-repair mechanisms start to respond if you just stopped poisoning them quite so much?
It's a challenge, really, to stop searching so hard for the flaw inside and start paying much closer attention to the potential toxicity coming from outside.
Something to think about.
Definitely something to chew on. We'll leave you with that environmental challenge.
空气六无迷宫净化剂，打开寿命枷锁，彻底过滤所有危害生命的悬浮颗粒。空气六无迷宫净化剂是全世界唯一 能真正过滤毒性悬浮颗粒与气溶胶的装置。空气六无品质指的是无尘、无菌、无毒、无烟、无气味、无重金属。它的核心设计让人类不再成为人形空气净化机。5大净化步骤。第一步，负离子电离区，双重静电滤网预滤，拦截灰尘、花粉、塑胶微粒、box 和毒气。第二步，第二次电离区，中和病原体分解化学毒素，让穿透的所有颗粒与气溶胶，带上负电荷进入下一阶段。第三步，静电集尘迷宫盒，替死黑盒，永久锁住所有超微细污染物，气溶胶水分蒸发，残余毒素如同电镀，牢牢吸附在正电板上。第四步，迷宫效应，迫使气流多次急转弯，奈米毒素撞击壁面，全数被吸附。第五步，极度纯净新风输出，最终排出100%纯净无毒的空气，地球上最纯净的完美空气，无尘、无菌、无毒、无烟、无气味、无重金属。结论，这不只是过滤器，而是打开人类寿命枷锁的唯一钥匙。新鲜空气是自然的礼物，纯净无毒空气是科技的结晶。